Yes. I love how people think that Africa is a continent, but it has like plenty of countries. I'm from Cameroon. Put the sound on. This is a sound from Senegal. It's called Saba. Very important to learn how to clap African music. Saba, you clap it like that. So I'm gonna say Saba, and you're gonna answer hey. I'll show you how it goes. Saba, hey. Saba, hey. Saba, hey.
Okay. So, welcome to the first ever Chill and Chat, brought to you by the Groove Temple, which is my radio show that I've had for 21 years. I decided to do this because I recognize that Austin really appreciates the one-on-one with the artist, to get to know the artist. And Celia's never been here by herself, so I said, why not have a chill and chat? So please introduce yourself.
Bonjour, hello everybody. My name is Celia Fossard. I'm one half of Les Nubians, but and it's not but. And also, I created my own entity called Blue Nefertiti to do French cabaret, sing song and talk shit. Voilà.
Okay.
I'm a singer, songwriter, activist, mom, citizen of the world, traveler. What else do I do?
You kick ass.
Style.
C'est clear.
I'm
It's
an
clear.
occasional, I'm stylist.
Yeah.
What else do I do?
Okay.
Creative stuff
Uh-huh.
and muse. I muse around a lot. I help. I'm an artist coach. I work with the younger artists to help them develop their everything. So I'm not just a vocal coach, but I started doing that a couple of years ago, and it's an activity that I really fancy because it's kind of a mentorship, but I help the artist be closer to themselves, find themselves, so it can be musically, visually, help them organizing their repertoire, their composition. It can be really at every level, interviews, and even psychologically too, because when you're an artist, you encounter things in life where you're like, I don't know, I don't know, is it normal? Well, let's talk about it. It can be normal. There's many aspects of our life that is a little different, but that is not necessarily terrible, but that can be sometimes perceived as pitfalls. As a person, because after a moment when you become pretty famous, people see you for the artist you are, and you struggle in being the person you are, and you also want to be loved for you and not for the artist you are, and so it's all those that little schizophrenia that can enter in our lives. So, voilà. It's part of the things that I fancy doing in my decades to come.
Okay. So can you tell us what new projects you are working on, either for Blue Nefertiti or with Les Nubians?
With Les Nubians, we're finishing a record. I'm super excited.
This will be what number?
It will be just number 4.
Uh-huh.
So it's not so much in 20 years. And at the same time, we've been through tribulations, and that's how life is. And we try to think that music can also that music is eternal, so sometimes it's not so dated. So we try to create things that are over time, timeless. So we're finishing a record, and I'm super excited about it because it's been a minute that we started it. We're independent artists, so sometimes it can be complicated to put everything together, and it's not to be motivated, but you know, to be okay, you're by yourself, but finally it's there. So we're really thinking 2019 in the fall for a release with probably music out, at least one song or something out before. Well, that's very soon.
Yeah.
I'm like,
we're excited. We can't be.
I'm super excited. So we started playing some of our songs, some of the new songs in the sets we do now. We play less because we're recording the record, right? And we like how the new songs are received. So we are very eager to share that with everybody pretty soon. So that's for Les Nubians. For Blue Nefertiti, I stopped doing cabaret for a minute because it's something that I do by myself, and I like to be either in love with a venue. For example, I push the door, I see a little theater or a little club, and I'm like, oh wow, cool! I want to write a show, you know. And I do so. I also like residencies, kind of. So there's places in New York where I played regularly, like every 2 weeks. So every 2 weeks, kind of write a new show, and I really like it. But
there's a new show every 2 weeks.
Kind of, yeah. Kind of, yeah. Voila. And that's what I like, and that's why I stopped it for a couple of years, because I was like, okay, that's too much, and I didn't find a situation, meaning a place that would feed that creativity, you know. And I was like, okay, no. The last place that I was doing regularly was in Harlem. I play a lot in Harlem, in New York. It's very funny. Harlem or Manhattan. I don't really find spots in Brooklyn. They are either too small or I don't know. So it's the weirdest thing ever. I live in Brooklyn, but I rarely find a spot I fall in love for that show. And Harlem has always been a very, very awesome place. And so I've been doing regular shows every 2 weeks with a band. The principle of the show is it's always the story of a woman and about love, cities, and tribulations of life tribulations through composition and covers. I like to do covers because it extends the repertoires. As I'm a cultural traveler, if I can say, I realize that a lot of people don't know either the French repertoire or the African repertoires, because Africa is a huge continent, right? And I thought it could be a very good thing to share repertoires with people. So I love live shows because it's interactive, because it's magic each time, because it's life-changing. It inspires people. For me, to inspire means to put the spirit in. So you can plant the spirit inside someone else, and the person lives with it, and it grows and alter them, make them different. And it's sometimes more powerful than spending the night at home watching TV. Voilà.
That's true.
You know, and as I get to have a pretty diverse crowd with pretty diverse background. For example, when I do live cabaret, I could do some zouk from the Caribbean. I can do some old French song or even 80s French songs. You know, I can do some Prince. I can do some Roy Ayers and some Ella. Or so we can go through time. I can do some still pose. Depending on the story I want to tell, so the songs kind of helps tell the story, continue on telling the story in English or in French. I do write a lot in French, and I do have to apologize for that. I should be better with time in writing in English, but it's still the language of my heart. So I do have more than facilities in French, and I like the way French sounds. English sounds different in my mouth. You'll hear it tomorrow. And I have to get used to it too, because sometimes I think that I can say like 20 years ago when we started coming here, and that my English was really, really bad. I could understand, but I wasn't really, really speaking it.
It wasn't that bad.
No, c'est bon. I mean, or I wasn't comfortable with it too, you know, because then you feel that you're not as witty as you can be in French, for example, or as exact.
And not everything translates.
Voilà.
Yeah.
It doesn't translate. So then sometimes you can feel that using another language can be like wearing a mask. And with time, I start to feel more comfortable with English because I experienced live in English, and I had to use those words and live situation in those words, and so now I feel more comfortable writing some things in English. But I'm still a French writer per se. I will not say yet that I'm a writer. But time will tell.
You're getting there. You're getting there. So, what is the worst advice that someone gave you in the music industry? We don't need names, but what's the worst advice that they gave you?
Do this, do a certain genre in the beginning to get famous and popular, and then you can do your real thing. It's so funny how this myth, I don't know, people still believe in that? It's never true. It's never true. I know artists that are stuck into a certain type of compositions that is absolutely not who they are, how their soul is, and they're miserable, and it's very hard for them to live throughout times, because then they see younger artists, fresher artists coming on their same précaré, in their same turf, exactly, and being way better at it, and so they feel directly insecure, and you're like, okay, this is too much misery. It's too much misery. So with my sister, we decided, and we learned it the hard way too. We decided to do what we wanted to do, and there was some good things about it, because it gave us a certain freedom. When I look back in 20 years, we still have the freedom to, tomorrow we want to do a reggae, create a reggae, that's it. Voila, you're happy? Cool. You know, etc. And it allowed us to be closer to who we are as people and as artists, and to translate, to spread the messages we wanted to spread. But also it deserved us, because it blocked us a lot of doors, especially in our country in France. When we released our first album, they were saying that what we're saying in the album is separatist, and that it's anti-republic.
So was
you know, like because
Africain or quoi?
voilà, that is too black.
Right. That's what I just said.
Literally,
in French.
it's
Too African.
It's
Yeah.
too black.
Yeah.
You know, there's only as black as you can be. So,
Yeah.
you know, at this point, it's just too black.
Yeah.
You need to cut the black out, and you're like, no.
But you
And
okay?
because we had this big problematic in France. So when we released our first album, so that's in France in 1998. But in France, when they talk about black music or black people, they say black in English, which is super weird.
So they say black instead of noir.
Yeah, they say black instead of noir.
Noir is black in French.
Yeah. So it's you know, I realize just like, why is it still bothering people? Like it is, and it has a connotation. Black in English, when French people use that, it has this stereotype that black people, you know, black people are so artistic. They're so good at sports. They're so, you know, go tap dance, dance for me, or you know. And I'm like, no, we have layers, and we are noir, and it's okay.
Yeah.
Just get used to that new word. So we had a lot of difficulties with interviews. Oh yeah.
So that leads me to another question. What's the difference between breaking into the French market versus the American market? Do you feel like the American market was more open to you and your sister?
It's okay. The French market has a certain ways of seeing things. So the French market is fed with the American market. So the way they do things, they try to replicate American stuff. Yeah. So that's one. And they also have their own genres. Voilà. And
des chansons de
la chanson française.
mélancolie.
Yeah, it's like melancholic songs.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, it's good writing too. So it depends. I like it. But also in France, so you have pop, so French songs, pop, variété, what we call variété pop. But all the other genres doesn't really exist, except hip hop, French hip hop, because French hip hop fought.
Yeah.
They really fought, and finally they got something. They got a big piece of the pie, and, you know.
That might be due to MC Solar.
Solar and many others, like really. Solar, NTM, I Am.
NTM, Nick ta mère, voilà.
Of course.
Yeah.
You know, French hip hop, because like France is the second nation of hip hop in terms of production, artist production, and since a very long time. In France, we had in the 80s, we had a TV program on national TV called HOP, and that was Sunday afternoon. And it was our soul train. We grew up on it. It was really about the hip hop culture. So it was graffiti, dancers, DJ, and MCs. The Zulu Nation came to Paris early 80s and made some kings and queens in Paris. So we had Zulu kings and queens in Paris. So the movement, the hip hop movement, really is, the culture is really big in France. For my generation and my older brothers and sisters, it was it really echoed what we needed as a way of expression. Because we have projects, because there's a big segregation in France, and we have cultural fights. France is a big colonizer,
Kinda, that's right.
The big colonizer. So, so and it was the African. So when we say the African, it's the black people and the Arabs too.
Yep.
Because they're African. Let's not forget it. So it's like our Arabs are a little bit like the Latinos here. Yeah. So we really related. We're like, oh wow, this is so us. But there is also French reggae, and French electronic music, of course, and all those genres. But it's very difficult up to now. We still in our Grammy, les Victoires de la musique, reggae, electronic music, and I don't know which other genre are in the same category. Mm-hmm. So it's completely ridiculous. Like, it's how can a reggae artist win against Daft Punk?
Right.
It's like, or David Guetta, or you know what I mean? It's not the same economy. It's not the same money. It's not the same music. It's not the same.
What did they call that category?
They call it new music, EDM, reggae, and so on. And you're like, this is ridiculous. Mm. So like other genres had a very hard time, or still have a very hard time existing. Meaning soul, R&B, jazz has very good rep in France because that's how France got their stars of we're not racist, so they're gonna cherish that genre.
That's true. For years.
We welcomed American artists when they were outcast in their own country. Yeah, man, yeah. Okay, we got the picture. But at the same time, Manu Dibango, for example, from Cameroon, who did Soul Makossa, for example, was also a young saxophone player trying to go play in the clubs in Saint-Germain and couldn't get in. So, colonizers only like other people's niggas. Yeah. That's how it works.
That's true. No, that's true. That's true. That's true. That's true.
It's just how it is.
That's true. That's true.
It's it's just the way it is. We push for it to change, etc. But I think it's part of the conversations. The same way here you guys have a certain conversation and certain things to resolve, which is important, and it's gonna be great for us all. Us too. We do have our issues that we need to resolve for the living together, because that's what counts, the living together.
So speaking of the continent, how have you worked with people from the continent?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And can you speak to how it is to work as a working musician in the continent or the countries that you've worked in?
It's getting better now. Internet really helped changing the possibilities in Africa. It changed the game at every level. Africa was a continent that was very not only outcast but unreachable. We were out of reach there. So, for example, us, with my sister, my mother is from Cameroon, and we grew up in Chad, which it's two different countries. For you, it just sounds like names, but it's really like two different cultures. Like, Chad is mostly Muslim, people from the desert. It's a lot of desert. It's below Libya. A lot of civil war since independence. So it's a complete different context than Cameroon, which is it's still Central Africa, but it's below. It's by Nigeria, and it's like we call it Little Africa because it has every type of landscape you can find in Africa. So it has like the savanna, it has mountains, it has a black sand beach and white sand beach, and the equatorial forest, the pygmies. So I come from a village that is in the equatorial forest. That is a couple of villages from the pygmies. Right. So it's completely different cultures, and
to even have access to music before, I saw the birth of the national TV there, like in 85. That's when they had a TV channel, and the TV channel was from 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. That's it, and they were playing videos that they were renting at the, with the warning, this you shouldn't, and you're like, okay, come on, just press play after. No, okay. So it was really, really awesome. But to have access to music, there was only radio, and so Radio France, RFI, so the radio coming from France. But for other genres of music or whatever, for access, it was very, very difficult. So we were going sometimes to the airport when there was a plane from France and asking to people, hey, do you have tapes? What do you listen to? Did you came with CDs? I knew the tape time, but because then you just make your copy and you feed yourself and on repeat, because you know that you're not going to have access, period. So now with internet, it changed everything. Now you can be like up in the desert and pull out your cell phone and watch YouTube.
Yeah.
So we feel less en décalé, we isolated, but also not in,
Right, yeah.
Like we don't know what you guys are talking about.
Yeah.
We haven't seen the movies, we haven't listened to the music, I have no idea. So now it takes less delay in time for us to have access, and also we can also spread stuff and be like, oh, and put it out. So it changed the whole game. But there are still a big problem of intellectual property in Africa, royalties, mechanicals, all of that. Forget about it. It's so difficult. There's only a few countries that has systems like that of collecting the rights for artists. So in South Africa, they tried in Cameroon, but the guy stole the money and left. You know what I mean? Like, it was a shit show. And Senegal worked that too. So like in the French-speaking country, we still rely on the French system for collecting the rights and all those things, for protecting the creation, etc. So if you cannot have a visa to go to France and protect your stuff, or you are likely to be stolen. Example, Shakira, Soccer World Cup, FIFA in South Africa. It's time for Africa, the song. Okay, so I got to listen to the song before they released the song. I was in the studio, we were finishing our New Revolution, so the last record we did. And the guy who happened to have to mix the record was the guy that we were working with. And he said, hey, because he knows we're from Africa. He's like, hey, come listen to the song that I'm working on. We listen to the song, and we're like, are they gonna pay money to those people that they're taking the song, Or, and my friend was like, what, you know the song? I'm like, yes. So they took a Cameroonian song that was really, because people have this idea that African music is just folklore. Hello, we have nightclubs since we love to go nightclubbing, so we do have club music since a very long time. And even when Manu Dibongo say Mama say Mama sa Mama Makosa, so Makosa was a very big genre in the 80s, like late 70s and 80s in Africa, throughout Africa. And they were from Cameroon. So in the 80s, this group, some guys that were military, did a prank song, a long one, like
12-minute songs with different movements called Zangalewa. And this song became an African hit. Like in South Africa, everywhere. Everybody was listening to that song. That song was the big song. Zamina mina waka waka zamina mina zangalewa anawa you know. So you listen to the song, and you're like, this is the same song. It's crazy. My friend is telling me, no, they're saying that she recorded it in Colombia when she was 15 and it became a hit in Colombia. I'm like, okay, it doesn't change that this is someone else's song. And we are in the 21st century, and it's impossible with the diaspora that people are going to listen to the song like, oh, I've never heard this song. I have friends, they auditioned for Fela on Broadway, and they were a dancer, and they were supposed to sing something African, and they were like, I'm singing Zangalewa. You know, because like every little kid, everybody was singing the song, right? It happened that same night. We were received by the Cameroonian ambassador in America that were receiving the Cameroonian artist in America. We go there, it's the aperitif, everybody's having drink, and I happen to hear a conversation of this guy saying, do you know a very good lawyer? Because, so in the FIFA, there's a lot of Cameroonian people, because we're good at soccer. So, and this guy said, someone from FIFA told me that they took our song for the World Cup. And I turn and I say, yeah, you need a good lawyer. Go and get it. And they did. And they won. And because for the song, they tried to say that, oh, it's a song for, all the rights are gonna go humanitarian. So, and they're like, no, humanitarian me. Like, what the heck? Like, I didn't accept. Like, they were three to create that. One is sick, the other one, like, you know, is fighting poverty, and one is in diaspora and is holding it. So come on, you know, you cannot take people's creation like that. So in Africa, we're still really fighting for that. Then there will always be, because there is a traditional way of functioning for an artist, meaning you do the weddings, you do the ceremonies, etc. You get paid right there. In Africa, even when you do a show, people come, they remove their silver stuff, they put it on you while you sing, you know, they put the money like that.
Yeah.
Not like stripper club, but kind of. Yeah. So you have to, you know, for example, when you play in Africa or when you dance in Africa, you try to show skin so they can put the, you know, the bills on you, and or you can have a little one that is by you. She picks the money for you and make sure that the money is in your pocket. So there are ways like that, but we still really fighting from real structure and get protected. We're lacking protection, for sure.
Okay.
I'm a big talker on stop.
No, it's fine. No, that's where you're fine. So my last question about the whole business deal, music business deal, is what's the most important thing or piece of advice that you could give to upcoming performers, singers, songwriters, that they should definitely be aware of, but they probably have no idea about? I feel like you spoke about that, about intellectual property. I could be wrong.
You know, like the main thing that I would say is that you have to love music. It's a no secret thing. You have to love music because music can, like the business of it or whatever, can be brutal, ungrateful, merciless, and so you really have to love music more than the business of it, more than so you, because the passion,
It's like a calling. It's like being a priest. If you enter in religion to get rich, you're probably not at the right job.
Yeah.
So if you enter in music to get rich, you're not at the right job. And you can tell, like, as soon as musicians start making movies, they're like, I'm good. Then they're like, I don't know if I'm gonna make another record. I understand, because movie money is better than music money. Those are really like simple facts. So really music, you have to love music. But I'm also thinking about something, which is sometimes performing artists have a misconception of what performing is, where they think that it's about them, where no, it's about the message, the intention. You're just vehicle. So I think you have to learn to be, in a way, to be selfless, and to be in service of the work, right? More than it's gonna be an ego rub.
Yeah.
Because that's where you can, you can get completely lost in the meander and.
Yeah.
It makes your head up. Woo! And then one day you realize that, people didn't really love me for me. Because they don't even know me, the real me.
I feel like that would mess up the relationship with the bandmates as well. If you start getting.
Yes, and at the same time, it's very tempting. So I'm saying that because it's not very obvious. It seems obvious to say it, but in the practice, it's a little bit more delicate than that. Because, people clap or whatever, and people say they love you, it's awesome. So you can, they love me, not you, and nah, it doesn't necessarily translate that way.
So we're gonna switch gears.
Okay.
Not be so serious with the questions. What does your self-care look like? That's amazing.
Isn't it?
Tell me more.
Is that a vocal warm-up?
It's so funny how people have this, maybe this impression that, because, I talk about natural, and I not only talk about it, I'm a pretty natural person, etc., that I would be super, and I don't know. So I'm still working on my self-care, because I'm mom, and I've been mom since I'm pretty young, and I always.
Actually, sorry to interrupt. I met her when she was pregnant with.
My first one.
Makeda?
No, my first one. Yeah, man.
Oh wow, with Jamal.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
That really makes me feel old. So speaking of which, how do your children respond to your celebrity?
For the longest time, it was so boring for them. It was just like, oh my god. I tell them, hey, so I have a show. You're gonna be in the backstage. You're gonna stay there because you cannot be in the club. Okay, and they're like, again. What? People haven't seen the show again? Why are you gonna play again? And you're like, but no, there's gonna be more people, and they bring people that don't know the show, and you bring them to radio station. Say hi. They meet other artists. You're like, oh my god, it's so. Yeah. Come, take the picture. And they do like the white eyes. They do funny face. You're like, come on, behave. Your dad's gonna be happy to see the picture. It's Peach Rock. They're like, so they don't care at all, at all, and they don't even help you.
Like back then or still now?
Now it's different because I have young adults. So it changed at one point. But for example, like even before, to try to work home or you have an idea, you try to record the song real quick while they're pulling your stuff. You're like, hey, I need a minute. And they're like, okay. You know, okay, I'm focused. No. Idea. Okay, done. Oh, okay, what you want? So it's kind of technical, they don't care. And then when they went through teenagehood, so my son is a big Afro-punk kid. He listens to metal. That's his life. Because metal is life.
Slam dancing and all of that. Yeah.
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 It's crazy. So, yeah, he had to explain to me because sometimes I was like, okay, can we make a pause? I never thought I would be that parent, but it had to happen because after 2 hours of loud, yeah, I'm like, okay, well, I need a break, just a break. And he said, no, but you have no idea, it's life. I said, okay. So I happened to be in a festival, and I heard a voice, and I knew it was a voice. It didn't sound like a voice. It was more of a. But I heard that, and it caught my guts, and it just caught me towards the thing, and I just happened to see the whole show like that. I was like, I get it. I went home that night. I said, baby, you're right. It's awesome. I mean, I won't listen to it every day, but I get it. I get the energy, like the raw energy of the sound. But then one day we were at Afropunk, and because he's a teenager, so I said, hey, live your life, I live mine. We meet in the backstage, right? Cool. So I'm in the backstage, you arrive, etc. And I was talking with Angelo of Fishbone. And my son comes, it's like, you know Angelo? Well, yeah. Wow. I want a picture. I said, go and get your picture. It's cool, it's scary, just. And that night when we went back home, he was really looking at me like, wow. You're cool. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Wow, you're cool. Like, I didn't know how cool you were. I kind of had an idea, but you are cool. So that's really cool. And now, like my son is 19, my daughter is 18, and now they ask me. Like, they ask me like, how are the songs? Are you done? What you doing? What do you still need to do? My son started producing music. He might do sound engineer school. My daughter sings a little bit, but she's like, I don't really care. I want to do business. She's like, I want a squared life. I mean, not squared. Mm-hmm. Between you an artist and my bum artist brother, somebody has to get it together. So I'm like, oh wow, all right.
They
I like money.
Inspire them.
Yeah.
And I think their mentality when they're little humbled you as well.
Completely, but it made it challenging though. It made my profession challenging because you're not there. Like, there's moments you're not there, or in the beginning I took them everywhere with me until my son told me we were on tour in the bus and etc. And then one day my son told me, I want to go to school, and I said, why? You're like, you still have time. You'll be 6 in 2 years, 3 years, but 2 years, you have time. And he was like, no, I want to have friends. And then I said, okay. So then I had to change the lifestyle for them, because who am I to prevent them from having friends just because my life is so the shit, because I was like, hey, you can learn piano, you can learn languages. Like, no, I want friends. Yeah. And yeah, like, there's nothing you can do for that. And it really always reminded me how music is like a calling for me. Because I tried to quit several times. I have to say it. I tried to quit several times, and there was always something happening. You know, like I tried to quit, and I'm about to take the subway. Someone comes to me and say, "Thank you, sister. Thank you for all that you do for us." I'm like, I thought I was going to be attacked. Hey. You know, well, thank you. And then you sit and you're like, I was deep in my thought, thinking about how I'm going to quit. And reminding me that, oh, it's not about you, girl. It's not about you. Like, you're on a mission, you have to work, so.
You're impacting more people than you know.
Voila. And my personal difficulties, there's nothing that I cannot overcome because the mission is bigger. It's bigger than me. So I'm just vessel. It's just I have to go for my own purpose. I have to continue on serving. I mean, that's how I understand it. And I don't know. Maybe I'll wake up at 50 and be like, I was all wrong.
So I have two more questions.
Yes.
What is a genre of music that you really dig that would surprise people?
So that little metal story is a little surprising, I have to say, because I was surprised myself. I try not to close myself from genres of music because I love music and creation, and it tells me a lot about who the people are, where they're from, where they want to go, so their past, their present, and their future. And I'm very curious about people, about the lives they have and how people express who they are, past, present, and future. But I really listen to everything. I'm a big fan of Gnawa music, so you know that music from the desert where people do trance. I love it. I love it. After that, I'm like, so cool. Classical music,
House music.
She made me discover house music. So like the real story is what happened was is that I didn't know house music. I thought house music was one thing, and I realized that it wasn't, because at that time, my perception of house music was kind of Frenchy, you know, like that. Very nose in the air, and I was like, yeah, I really don't like that. But there were some, I used to call it dance thing, like good life, good life, good life, because we're in France by England, you know, live the good life. But for me, I thought it was dance. In my head, I would never listen to techno. Because it wasn't when I was younger. Oh, when I was younger, I had some real blockages. I was like, I don't like disco. I don't know. I had this thing when I was.
I think that's a common thing for young people. I think you have to mature to actually appreciate disco.
Really?
Personally, yeah.
I mean, I was so revolutionary, and I was like, there's no meaning. You know, what is the substance of that thing?
Ring my bell. That's what it's about, right?
Exactly. It's right there. How can you be so happy? You know, it's like too much happiness for me.
Oh my goodness.
And Shani really like did a lot in my life. In the music she brought to me. Is that she made me discover house music, and that some stuff that I already liked was part of the house, and made me also discover a whole area of stuff that I was like, what?
Okay, so I know I'm interviewing you, but I have to tell a quick story. So I used to live in Paris, 2004 to 2005, and then I came back in 2005, and in 2006 I was like, hey, do you want to go to Miami? She goes, what's in Miami? I said, it's the Winter Music Conference.
Yes.
It's the house music conference annual thing. She says, okay. She comes
I
in.
love it because she said, now that you know house a little bit more,
That's true.
You need
Yeah.
to experience
Yeah.
house music.
Yeah.
I said, what?
Yeah.
Girl,
Yeah.
okay.
So Josh Malone, Louis Vega, Ron Trent, Osunlade, Spinna, like all these major people, because she'd only had like a diet version of house music that was surface, and I was like, now I can show you the deep stuff. So
Yeah, and also I realized when we were at the Winter Music Conference, I realized that so many people of my musical family
yeah,
were in house music, and
Yeah.
I didn't even know. Like I
Yeah.
didn't know that Spinna was part of the house scene, where Spinna did our remix of our first, like of Makeda on our first record. So I didn't put it together, or even on the second album we worked with IG Culture in London, who is close to For Hero and Jazzanova, etc. So in that Miami travel, it happened that IG was there playing, Bembe Sege was there playing, Jazzanova had a DJ set too. I was like, oh, the family is here, all the friends are here and around, you know.
yeah.
It really helped me connect the dots and put my whole like family together. I discovered amazing art. Like I saw Pavan Everett live on that thing.
That's true.
It blew me away because for me it was like putting all the dots together, because the way I've listened to that live show that Pavan was giving that night, for me it was like duh jazz, and I've always approached jazz that way. For me, jazz was the modern music of a time. People were dancing jazz, right? And it's just that when I was younger, when you go to jazz shows in Europe, you have all this old audience, nobody dance, so it's like jazz is completely disconnected with the fact that jazz used to be also a dancing music. It was holding the ballroom. And I always wanted to, I don't know, to link it together or to say, but I had no knowledge. And when I saw Pavan, I was like, but yeah, he's literally doing not modern jazz, but yes, it's jazz with electronic instrument, 4/4, and free flow and certain forms of improv. And I was so in love. House music changed my life, I have to say. Yes.
Boots and Cats will save everybody. Boots and Cats.
It's fantastic. And I love the house music family. Like I love
it's huge. It's almost as close knit. It's almost as not close knit, but it's like metal families, like crowds, metal people that like metal, their family.
Yeah, but I love the diversity of the family in house music.
That's true.
Like the diversity of age, of genre, gender, whatever. Like it's really for
everybody,
the people.
yeah.
It's really for everybody.
Yeah.
It puts everybody together. Either you want to be super dressed, you can. You want to be underdressed, who cares?
Yeah.
You know, you come for the music and for the dancing.
Yeah.
And so I understand how shelter was really sheltering people, you know, in New York at the time where AIDS were really like killing everybody. Like music is a medicament. It's a
medicine.
It's a medicine. And the house scene continue on perpetuating the medicine music for the people, and I love that.
So my last question. This is like probably the biggest question ever.
Oh my God, I'm afraid.
Who is your favorite Muppet? Muppet. Sesame Street, Muppet Show.
Cookie Monster.
Cookie Monster.
Yep.
I like Cookie
I
Monster.
like cookies.
I like cookies.
And I love his voice. Cookie.
Cookie. C is for cookie. It's good enough for me. Yeah. So thank you so much. Thank you. So Now it's open to all of you. If you have any questions for Miss Celia Fossa.
In working in Africa, do you find that there's a disparity between female artists and male artists in terms of pay, even representation, or is it similar, or how is it similar to some of the issues that artists in America or even France deal with those types of?
I think that women artists throughout the world encounter the same difficulty, and then it's more accentuated because of the culture. So depending where, meaning that, as I said, Africa is a vast continent. It can be harder for a woman in a Muslim country to be an artist than in the non-Muslim part of Cameroon, for example. Voilà. So, but there is something that is constant in music throughout the world, is between men and women, is that it's the choice of personal life. Meaning that a man can be a musician, an artist, or whatever, have a wife at home, taking care of the kids, etc. When you're a woman, if you decide to go in the family route, how do you continue on making music a priority? How do you continue on living the lifestyle? How do you continue on putting music as your priority? You know? Also, how do you find, for example, a man partner that can understand that you won't be there every day? You're not gonna cook every day. You're not, you know, you might really not be there. Or you might know, oh, I heard one day a guy told me that it's not possible that my girl knows more people than I do. I said, what?
I'm gonna.
Damn, you're prehistorical. Damn, they're still Neanderthal. Yeah, like around this world. So, and really, here it's still a reality, unless you're really making money or you're there already. Meaning like, Badu doesn't have the same issues in having kids, the same way Diana Ross didn't have necessarily the same issues back in the days in having 4 kids and be on the road even on a bus, you know? Then other artists that are less known, or imagine, you know, women that are like even the background vocalists. It's a job. You're not gonna take your kid on tour on someone else's tour. Like, so I feel that in a way, because it was my band, because it was my group, with my sister, we had that luxury of making decision and saying, hey, there's gonna be babies in the bus. And, you know, and they're your employees, so in a way, they're not gonna say anything. But who can really like put through that, you know? So I really think that the life, you know, having a family or finding partners, it's challenging. It's way more challenging for women in the music world than for men. For men, it's awesome. Yeah, living an awesome
It's
life.
seen differently. It's seen as if they're responsible. It's a badge of honor. You know, oh, well, he's got this, but he's also got his family over here, and he's so responsible. And it elevates him on a totem pole, but to a woman, it's almost as if it's a liability.
Oh, like I happen to be in situations like to be like on tour and my kids are home or whatever, and to have dinner with people, and they're like, "Oh, your kids are not with me. How can you? I could never. I don't know." I'm like, "Yeah, like, do you do that to a man?"
No.
Like, no, but like, I'm at work. That's it. I'm at work. I'm gonna be done. I'm gonna be gone for 10 days, or
or or a week, or sometimes I go to the city the same day, I come back the next day. It's true that I can have like a 2 months tour. It can happen. That's really when when you release an album and blah blah blah. Yes, you're not going to be there for 2 months, but when I'm there, I'm there. And I realize that compared to certain other mothers, for example, I have the luxury to, when I'm there, I'm there. I think about like mothers that are nurses, ER nurses, etc., who have like crazy hours, who never see their kids. They bring the kids to the nanny way before time. They're sleeping, they come back, the kids are sleeping, they don't see their kids. And me, I'm like, pretty good, I do see them. Like when I'm home, I'm home. So it is challenging. I never really talk about that as being an artist mother, as I'm fantastic, because I think about, for example, the nurses or whatever, where their reality is more hardcore than us. But I like to talk about being a mother artist, to show that it's possible just by experience, to show to younger women, or women my age, because I still can have kids, that it is possible, but it is not the easiest thing.
Well, then it's awesome by just being who you are. You're challenging the patriarchy, and you're embodying the divine feminine and the divine masculine that needs to be seen. Thank you so much for that.
Well, thank you, and it's very funny because it's a thing. It's very thin. It's a little bit like white supremacy, in the term that it's those things that are there, that are holding stuff, but that it's very hard to put the finger on it. That man-woman thing in music. Even the coolest dudes, can be saying stuff. Sometimes you're like, yo, really? Like, that's really how you think? Wow.
As cool as I thought you were.
And about their personal life, meaning that, oh yeah, you can do that, etc., but I will never be with a woman who's not home. You're like, what?
Right.
Oh, but you live that same life I live. So you should understand that there's some creative woman that has the same, not even desire, it's just the same path that we're doing the road every night. What is wrong with you? What would you expect necessarily? It's challenging for that, because when you're a younger woman, it kind of fucks up your brain for a second, because you have a moment where you're like, oh shit, I will never be the dream wife.
You can't meet those expectations.
You're like, oh, okay, that's not gonna be me. So I have to create something else for myself, and to be comfortable with myself and the decision I make. And then the money thing, I'll tell you, it's the same thing. It's what you see outside, you see it in the music industry too. It's so funny how much people can say, yes, we love women, we support women. Okay, just pay us same. Is it that's complicated? If that's really what they think, just do it. It's actions speak louder than words sometimes. At this point, as a woman, I don't wait for good speech or whatever. I just want action. Just show that, yeah, pay us same. It's not that difficult. You love us, right? Bring the money.
I have a question about early influences. It sounded like you're definitely like a student of music, clearly, and you reference every genre out there. But it sounded like you had limited access to a lot of music when you were young. Did you have someone in your life that sort of sparked that in you? Was it something you came upon naturally when you left the house at in the teenage years or whatever? Like, how did this like spring about?
I have a mom who was very Catholic, and so French Catholic churches. It's not like evangelical here. No, it's We gonna be na na na. You know. So she was reading and singing Gregorian chants, like no business.
Yeah.
That's her shit. And so African music in general, a lot of Miriam Makeba, a lot of Celia Cruz. My name is Celia.
Yeah.
And a great love for Harry Belafonte. She was super, and she used to tell me, "You look like Harry Belafonte." I was like, "No." And she said, I was really looking at this picture when I was pregnant of you. You look like him. Nah. So a lot of that. So that's my mom's side. It's my father. He lived the Second World War. He's a Frenchman, lives the Second World War from Jewish descent and communist. So I did grow up with the old French repertoire, so the real old one. Piaf, of course. So for me, Piaf was a revelation in my life. One day when I was little, I woke up, I run to my dad, I said, "Dad, Edith Piaf is my grandma, right?" He said, no. And I said, "You sure?" It was so vivid. And really, Edith Piaf is really a singer that is constitutive of the singer I am. Because she knew how to pick lyrics. And then she started writing lyrics, and on the songs, she probably wrote 12 songs, and 4 are major in her, make it to the French repertoire, all-time repertoire. So her work, really was meaningful. And for me, she was the blues and jazz singer in my language that I could directly understand. And he was listening to the Red Army choirs. So I grew up with that, and, yeah.
Really?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
For those of us who don't know what that is, can you please explain what the Red Army Choir is?
It's all the communist choirs.
Oh.
Yeah. It's and they were touring the world and doing big vocal ensembles, and
Are they chanting?
No.
it's I
Like-
mean you can
like
say it that way.
yeah.
They were chanting the grandeur of Stalin, for example, but not only that, and a lot of it was in Russian. So anyway, I didn't get it, but it's all those Eastern harmonies and arrangement of vocal arrangement. And me, I love vocals, so I love those big ensemble choirs, And he was also listening to pachanga and old Cuban music. So Pacheco Isu Charanga and all those things. So I grew up with a lot of Montuno, and my cousin was very instrumental for all the modern genres. So he's the one who was waking us up in the middle of the night because they were showing Michael Jackson, video, or Lionel Richie was playing to open the game in Los Angeles. So for us, with the difference of time, so he wakes up every kid and they're like, "Oh my God, all night long." Wow, it's wow. So he's the one who brought Michael Jackson and Prince. Prince was very transformative for me. Edith Piaf, Prince.
Yeah.
Prince changed my whole life. I couldn't understand things. I was like, yeah. And then with time, so I think I did learn English with it too, and
So you had a very filthy vernacular.
completely. I've learned some things. I was like, wow. And I was just saying it, I didn't know what it
Yeah.
means. And then, oh, that's what it means. Okay, yeah. Yeah. You know, it's like, and I've learned, I was listening to Prince and I would learn all the parts, but not only the vocal parts, like the change, that's for me, because I didn't go to music school. There was no after class anything in Chad, there was nothing. So, you know, you can just have dreams and play at home that you making shows, right? So you don't know. That's, and Prince, we were really like studying everything. So with my sister as we were too, the very cool thing is that also, so we loved opera Carmen from Bizet. So early on, when I started feeling that I had a voice, just feeling, because there was nobody could tell me, you can sing or not. I was like, yes, singer, that can be a thing. But I wasn't saying that loud, because it's absolutely not a possibility in the reality I grew up. It didn't make any sense. But I thought, oh, maybe I could do opera. Because I love Carmen. I love the character, I love the writing of it. And with my sister, we were doing two voices. She was doing Don Jose, I'm doing Carmen, rah, rah, rah. So we learned the whole opera, and then operette too. So people like La Vie Parisienne of Offenbach, we know it by heart. There is nothing to do.
By heart?
But La Vie Parisienne, that operette, yes, by heart. Like, there was nothing to do in Chad. Like, I told you, like, we saw the beginning of TV, so there was nothing. So we really had to entertain with the couple of stuff that was there. Like, my father had like those vinyls, so you listen to them until you're tired of it. And then you go pick, and when my cousin was coming, then he brought sign all the time.
Yeah.
What? That was like water. It was an oasis. It's just, and he's the one who brought, you know, Rick James and Cameo and the funk and hip hop too. Because he was doing, when we were on holiday, he was like, yes, my aunt had a hair salon, and so all the kids in the neighborhood, he was older than us, so he had to entertain us, and so, you know, he was doing a breakdance contest, and you win a biscuit with Nutella, right? So, try your moves on, or what you can do. Can you rap? Okay, let me find the part. Je m'appelle Celia. J'aime le chocolat. You know, like, I don't know. So he was very influential. He also, at one point, started a radio program, or started doing shows with mixed music. So in the same show, you could have a rap band, and then you have Indian dancers. Like, what is that? It was really like a mix. It was a mix of music from here and out there. So my sister started working with him and started to do radio too, etc. So she learned a lot from being with him, and he exposed us a lot. He was very instrumental for us, and key in all the modern culture. Voilà. And I discovered bossa nova myself, and I'm a bossa nova fanatic. I love really even the classic. João Gilberto, not a big fan of Astrid, but João, Stan Getz. For me, the most beautiful album in the world is The Best of Two Worlds, João Gilberto and Stan Getz. It's amazing. The recording of it, everything. The fact also that they created a genre of music, it blew my mind. How do you create a genre of music? So it's the kind of thing that with my sister we were like, how do you create a genre of music? How do you, because you're inspired by things that you listen and genres, etc. But how do you push and make it something different and new. So,
Do you think that's easier or harder because of the internet? Like you were mentioning that now there's all that opportunity, but at the same time now you can feel like you have an original idea and then find someone that already tried it.
you can, but at the same time, what persistence is also part of the thing, because a lot of people have ideas but don't go through, like don't persist for it. A lot of people drop as soon as it becomes difficult.
I love the music thing.
And that's where the love of music has to be there, because it's persistence is something. It's really something. So when I look at it with my sister, sometimes and just to be like, wow, it's been more than 20 years now, and we're still doing that, and we still love performing together and performing those songs and the new ones, etc. And for so many people who wished our career dead, you know, just the fact that we're still there, it's just so this has nowhere else for me. It's the same with copy, because a good idea will always be copied. What makes a pioneer different? What makes the ones that had the original ideas different is that they created that idea, so they might be able to create other ideas that are impactful. A poser, someone who just take the good ideas of the others, is just gonna float around and will always be second, third, or whatever, and just be following the thing. You know, even when you create a trend, without even thinking that it's a trend, you know, it's because it's part of who you are and what you have to do. So, have that idea. Have fun with it. I'll create another one. You know, or sometimes to understand the symbolic of stuff. For example, when we started playing and we were putting the dots on, you know, coming directly from Fela, but him coming directly from tradition, because that's what people forget too, you know. You know, so for him it was important to put tradition in the modern representation of that new Africa that he wanted to create, right? So he made the ladies wear the dots. For us, when we put the white, it's to be able to see the transition, the different dimensions. Because we believe that there's the visibles, we are here, and there's the invisibles that are around, right? So when we do ceremonies and we put the whites or whatever, it's to give us access to the invisible, so they can see us better, and so we can see them better, right? Exactly. So when we decided to put the dots on, it was for that. It was to big up Fela, to remember the work that he did, the ideas that he was fighting for, and the importance of the visibles and the invisibles and the multi-dimensions that we live in. I believe in it. That's the life I lead. So we wanted to bring that in our music too. Now, we're in a time, everybody wear the dots. Like, because it's a trend thing to look Afrocentric, or I don't know what it is,
It's
you
cute.
know? It's cute.
It's
It's
sexy.
sexy.
Like everybody wants to be a witch.
You know?
Everybody's spiritual and everybody.
Voilà.
It's a gimmick.
It's a gimmick. And I get it. Awesome. People can have fun with it. It just doesn't change. I know why we were doing it. And we know the doors that it opened for us and for the ideas and messages that we were relaying. And tomorrow I have no problem finding another idea. Like, it's all good.
So what are your interests and what do you like to do to relax?
Like to do what?
To relax.
To relax? Nothing. I'm very good at doing nothing. It's something that I like to read. And when I say nothing, to me the best is nothing under the sun. Right? Because I need to soak the sun and nothing. I love roller skating. I love roller skating. When you were talking about self-care, I try to live a life where, because I love, as I said, roller skating and that idea of imbalance, and you know, I live a life where I don't go to the gym. I wish I could say things that are great like that, like, hey, I'm going to the gym. I work out, I'm vegan. I wish. I'm not. I'm a carnivore. I really like good meat. I'm really looking forward to eating barbecue here.
Yeah.
I love that idea that it's part of the culture. You know? And I do respect everybody who makes any change for better in their life. And if it works for them, hallelujah. But, and what I meant by equilibrium, I love wearing heels. So it's my workout. The way I live life, even in my apartment, you know, I like awkward positions. You know, it's my workout. I don't even know, like, it sounds super weird to say that in front of people.
That's why I'm standing right here. I'm trying to figure out what awkward position. Because you went from like, I like wearing heels, and then you went to the apartment, and
well, all of that.
Oh,
you know,
okay.
all of it. You
Uh-huh.
know, like, I try to live a life that keeps me active.
Mm.
And
Your apartment is kind of awkward shaped. Yeah.
you know,
It's not like a square. It's like you go here and then you go there and you go this way.
yeah, and I put things in you know, in equilibrium.
Walker.
Yeah. So it's like, oh, it's holding.
Mm-hmm.
I'll
Cool.
get you some pleasers and you can, that's what I do for a workout. It's just,
What
you
is
know,
pleasers?
They're stripper shoes and you just
Oh, yeah.
wear
Yeah,
them.
that's where I'm at.
You know, you
Yeah.
walk for yourself, you
That's
for yourself.
that's where I buy my shoes. I believe in that. You know, no, because you know it helps you, like, you do your core, you do your everything, and for me it reminds me of the skating part. I cannot skate everywhere, unfortunately, so I like that about to fall but not. You know, like, oh, I have it. So really like to live life like that. I go dance. To me, it's like workout, because I need to connect my soul and my body to get. That's part of my self-care. But I don't have a very good. I smoke cigarettes. I'm so fresh. I drink coffee and wine. And I drink water. Water is life. Did I answer well? Okay, so I can meander to. I know. But thank you, Nia. I'm super happy to be here with you. I'm really looking forward. I cooked a little show for you. It's gonna be on tracks. So I rarely do it, and at the same time, it's super exciting for me. And I hope you will like it. There's gonna be some French. I'll try my best to relate, but I also believe that music is universal, feeling is universal, and a bit of mystery is never wrong. We're not obliged to understand everything right away. I think it's something nowadays, like people want to understand, and they want you to have like straight up answers for everything, like you know everything. I don't know everything. I am sorry, I don't. I try my best, and sometimes I even say some bullshit, you know. And I learn more in life, and then I'm like, that was completely wrong. And I love that possibility to improve. And I want to give everybody that possibility also.
The mystery gives people room for imagination, for their own imagination
Voilà.
to grow.
Because there's something, you know, when you release music or any type of art, you know, you're like, so you know what you put in the song. Or how about you think you know. So at the moment where you write it and you record it, you think you know. Okay? Then it comes out. Then it becomes people's song. People are like, that's my song. And then sometimes they tell you what the song means. You're like, wow. And at the same time, who am I to tell them they're wrong? You know, unless it's completely. But who am I to tell them they're wrong? Because it is part of their life too. And so it does a certain form of medicine to me. And also by doing them, it's like mantras. You know how mantras function. The more you say it, the more it gives a vibration and it becomes real, right? So I believe that songs are like that. It's like mantras. The more you sing them, the more their energy goes in and the more it becomes real. And there are moments and songs that still surprise me even 20 years after. I can be like singing the song, you know, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh, that's what it meant, you know?
The spirit animal of Austin has come to visit you. There's a little bat.
Oh, wow!
Oh, wow. Now that's a sign.
That is.
That's a queen.
That's a shampoo? Hey, I mean, I don't mind. Wow! Oh my goodness.
So cute.
Wow.
Did I get him? I feel like I got him.
It's not here anymore. You might have it. Oh wow! They're amazing because they're blind. Wow. Yeah.
It's like the DJ. It's like,
And I thought,
That is
wow.
amazing.
C'est grave ça.
Moi,
And he was so little, he was like, I need to
get out of here.
Oh, wow.
They're awesome. Yeah.
That was the sign about something.
Yeah. I like it.
I don't know. What do you think? The sign of what?
Oh, it's so cute. It's like a little baby.
I wanted to like do like this, but I don't want to get ready.
We're actually not supposed to touch that.
he's like a little sweatshirt on.
I've never seen it walk. Wow. I've never seen a bat walk. It's amazing.
I mean, I'm so glad all of y'all were, because you popped up and I was like, what's going on? You popped up. Wow. Wow. Okay. Well.
Yep.
Okay. We're kind of done.
Yeah, but I mean, we're spending time together. We're
No,
still
but yes,
talk.
no. I feel like we're in my house right now. So carry on. I'm still like, wow, this little cat.
It's amazing.
This little bat baby.
It's and there's plenty here.
Oh yeah.
Oh, if you go to the South Congress Bridge. Interesting.
Right. They are under the bridge,
Under
right?
The bridge, and then this is the Congress Bridge, and it's like right as the sun starts.
Like right now? Do they do it right now? Or is it like
No, it's like
when it's
sunset.
warmer?
Sunset.
But they're out and about.
Shoot, and around or 30 color?
Moonlight came from emergence. It does. It's a moon. It is reborn every evening.
Wow. It's very funny because my mom, everywhere we go or something, she had this thing like, she said, everywhere you go, you have to say hello to, you know, so she's like, you're right,
You want the key?
Cameroon. I'm talking about my mom. We're having cameras. Land of Cameroon, thank you for having me here. I thank all the ancestors for having me here. You know? And she said, everywhere you go. So I have this thing everywhere I go. I go to Shani's, I arrive to her house. Hello, Shani's house, how are you? Thank you for having me here, etc. And with the time, I start to feel, maybe I'm weird.
No,
because I really do it. I do it with stuff, I do it with people, you know.
Yeah.
I just think it's, you know, I arrive in a new country, I'm like, oh, thank you for having me here. You know, I wish no harm, I just want, you know. So I like that. We hear and the band is like, hey, oh, no.
I heard you were in town.
Just so you know. I'm just passing by. I will not bother.
To me, the spirit animal, like right up here.
Yeah. And as we're talking about spirits,
And thank you, sis, for capturing the bad and passing it on to, you know, yeah. Well, I mean, I know we're still talking. We got another like 10 minutes, but I want to thank you all for being here. And this is the first one I've ever done. This is the beginning of a series because a lot of people from Chicago, from New York, from LA, they want to play in Austin, and thanks to Graham also. You're the one that recommended me do this in a more personal level, and so I thank you for that. And so yeah, this is there were a lot of people that contributed to this. These two other ladies right here.
My pleasure.
They created this whole spread right here.
I cut all the cheese.
It's true. But no, this is great. I very much enjoyed myself here, and thank you so much, Sabia.
Thank you, Mom.
Cheers. Good job. I love you.
And it's beautiful to have friends throughout time because Shani was really, is really my American friend, you know? It's so weird to say things like that. It sounds like, you're an American friend. Yeah, she's my American sister friend. I met her the first time I came to Chicago in 1999. And then we had the privilege to get to know each other and spend some time in Paris. So, like, when she came to live in Paris, I happened to hear that she was there. And
wait. You have to.
I said it.
No, but you gotta. Il faut lui expliquer comment j'ai parlé français au début, quoi. Non, c'est drôle.
No, but like, because she was speaking a little French, like, yes, je m'appelle Shani. Je suis house music DJ. Je suis from Chicago.
She's like, yeah, je suis Shani.
Je suis from Chicago. You know, it's really, really awesome that we could have that camaraderie, that sister, and I also wanted her to feel that you are here where I'm from. Anything that happens to you or whatever, just let me know. I can unfold things for you. You know, you are here in my turf, and I love that. So my sister has been here in Austin since a minute, and I'm very happy with all that she's doing, and she's a great DJ. But I love that she thought about me, inviting me to come be here for the first chill and chat. I love the idea. I think it's a great concept. It's good to when we are closer, we can really dig more. We can understand better each other. Me too, even by your questions. You know, it's you never think about what people want to know about yourself. And I hope you don't think about shit. That would be a little cuckoo. But so she was like, I don't know, I'm gonna make questions. I don't know. I say, yeah, bring it on. Whatever you want
to know, pretty open, like an open book. But sharing is caring, so.
That's right.
Yeah, when we transmit, and the more it goes, and that's why that thing that I was talking in the beginning of artist coach or mentoring, it's really something that interests me a lot, because the transmission factor, you never think about what you know. Unless you're Donald Trump, but.
What does your mentor program look like? How does that work?
It depends on, it really depends on what's the project, meaning how do I write in the project. It's a little bit like an A&R ring thing. So the artist I work with right now, she's a French singer, she's from the north of France, she's a brilliant white girl who makes, she calls it progressive pop. She plays piano and sings, has a crazy range, and for me she's like between Kate Bush and, you know, she's like a magical voice and lyrics fairy, and, you know. So I arrived on the project as A&R to help her make the record, etc. And I'm continuing on helping her for everything, like, you know. The way I see it, because I've been working with 2 other artists like that, sometimes it is different. I've been called by production to work on the young artist. They wanted to develop him, prepare his demos, and he wanted to do the contest for a big talent show in Montreal called Les Francophonies. So we worked on his demos, his compositions, his look, and we prepared for the contest, and he won.
Congratulations.
Yeah, because then he was like, yeah, you know, I'm very happy at least to participate. I'm like, no, we're here to win. Like, you know, get it together. Like, we can say that after. Like, after we have time to think about it. But right now, we're here to win. What? So, and it's really like, I assess the needs because people are not at the same spot in the expression of their creativity. If it needs like vocal, I do it, but if it needs like structure and songs, you know, I work them through it, or performance. I'm realizing that a lot of artists that I work with, performing is a challenge, because and that might be a stereotype that I'm doing, but the people who work, like the artists that work with productions or something, meaning people who can pay me. It's not like it's crazy. It's just, you know. No, it's an exchange. It's like they have young artists that are studio ready, but have no stage presence, but also sometimes self-consciousness of themselves, like, yeah. So it depends. We can, like, I work things like that too, like body posture, and it's so funny, and like I don't want to give a formula that is very too strict, because it really depends on the person and on the progress they make. You can find the way to trigger or unlock something in a week or 2, and then you can be for a month and a half on something that for you it's obvious, but for the person, until they don't lock it and make the switch, they don't have it, or they cannot access. Me, I really think it's just a question of access, because what I'm trying to make them shift on is something that they have, that I think they do have in potential, but then you can, voila, you need to go through breakthroughs because there's some blockage or some ideas of yourself that you know, or the context you know, the way you was raised or the beliefs you have, like all that. It's just it's just a big bag of, because we all come with our big bag of shit, and we don't know what necessarily what obscure or block certain aspects of our life. And it's easier to say than to put the hand in the doo-doo and to start working it out. So I help them go through that. You know, some they're lacking will, or hey, most of it is self-confidence. I think it's amazing we're in a time where people use those words like self-love, self-care, self-confidence, like they have it. And I like what you were saying earlier. It's like, they have it for social media. It looks good on paper.
It's great on a t-shirt.
You know, it's good on t-shirts, on earrings, bam.
And they're the most self-conscious people.
The ones that go off.
If you have to be looked at and get likes,
Right.
Yeah.
love yourself, there's something wrong.
Yeah. We have this stupid joke in French. We say, la culture, c'est ceux qui en ont le moins qui l'étalent le plus. So, translation. Culture, it's those who have it less that spread it more, like jam on paper. You know? When you don't have it a lot, you know, and you talk a lot about it. It's like the same with sex, you know?
Yeah.
Sometimes, like, the people who talks about sex all the time, they're not getting any.
Or they suck at it.
You know, or they suck at it. And you're like, yeah, about you. Yeah. So, yeah, it's we all have to access vulnerability, and to be artists is to accept also to be vulnerable. So,
On that note, do you ever have like a song that like you can't sing because it brings you back to a place that's like too sad or too intense? Like,
I'm a lioness from Cameroon, meaning that I have many and I jump on it each time with all the fears that I have, and I'm fearful. I'm a big fearful person. It doesn't look like it, but I have to go for it.
yeah.
Because as I said about the mantra, it's by making it sound in the world that it does heal. So if it can heal me a little bit, maybe it can heal someone else. And I think a lot, and I don't want to say a lot, but at the same time not too much. But I think about the responsibility of what you create, kind of. And at the same time, I'm saying that it's not saying that everybody should, or I have absolutely, processes are very different between people. And that's what makes creation so rich and interesting and varied, you know. But the way I create, even if it comes from anger or pain or whatever, I try to find a window. I need that. So that's the way I create.
Transcend the.
Voila, I like transcendence.
Yeah.
I'm a transcending person. I love that. And that's why I do listen to trance and stuff like that. Because I really do believe in that. I believe in how the body, the spirit can elevate, etc., etc. So I do search for that in what I create. But at the same time, there's so many ways for other people. I need that because I feel like when I'm making these sounds in the world, I'm a utopian ideologist. I believe it makes the world better. Yeah, I'm convinced. And You know, because we're talking, etc. But as I said in the beginning, we grew up in a place and or in a family, in a context where for us to be the Nubians, now it's completely, it's almost like miracle. You know? And I sometimes believe that it's because I cherished it inside me and dreamt it really vibrantly and real and visualized it. That it manifested. It's crazy to say that, but I really, nobody in my family was in the business. I really grew up in a country that had nothing. Like the country itself was constantly in war. So either a civil war or war against Libya. The war against Libya finished in 89. We left Chad in 92. I lost my father when I was 13. I had no mom. I didn't grow up with my mom. My mom was in jail for years in her country. She came back and my father was already dead. I didn't know her. We looked at each other like that. Then I said, I think I'm gonna leave home. And she was like, what? I went to live with my sister and we started a band. You know what I mean? So nothing was stable, it was just, we were just searching life like that, but dreaming. And the way even this group exists between my sister and I is a little miraculous. A friend of us was coming to her place where I was living and it was like, it's not only us who can hear you sing, you need to be out there and sing. And we're like, I was in high school, my sister was doing law, and one day he came and he said, I programmed you. There's a show for the funerals of this African artist here in town. You're obliged to come play. It's written, Helen and Celia. We're like, okay, what are we gonna do? We're doing a cappella anyway. Because, we didn't play, we didn't go to music school or anything. So like, okay. We went, we sang, and the local newspaper the next day talked about us. So the friend came with the newspaper and said, hey, I told you. And we're like, okay. So he said, so now he had a reggae band. And then he said, so now I want you to open for me. And we're like, okay. So like, okay, we need to find a group, a name. Because we're not just gonna go like Helen and City. That's when we started plotting of we started being intentional.
Yeah.
But we never thought we would get a record deal or this type of thing. It kind of fell on us each time, So I believe in manifestation. I believe in visualization. I believe in the unseen. I believe in frequencies. I believe in how frequencies change matter. And, I believe in quantum physics. Voila.
Come on now.
So I have to put a higher vibration in what I do, what I create, because it does change the world.
How long did it take you for you to realize that as a creator? Because I know I'm a creator and an artist too, and sometimes in my mind, I'll block my own blessings because I'll overanalyze some stuff. For one, did you ever do that, and how did you basically get past all that? And
I think it's a constant because you have to doubt kind of, you doubt all the time. You're never sure. Yeah. It's like gambling almost. It's like you never know. You don't know. You can have a feeling, an intuition, a strong gut thing, but so each time you have to. Bless you.
Thank you.
You have to try to put everything on it, meaning your intentions, your visualization, and wishing that it will blossom and flourish. Because you're never sure. That's the reality of it too. Even the music industry, they know there is there are some formula.
Yeah.
It doesn't work all the time. There's some stuff that they make formula like and that doesn't sell shit.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, a song that comes out of the formula, out of the come and sells.
Do you think they still sell music, or do you think they sell more of an image to people? Because when you talk about some of the things that they emulate or recycle, I used to see, for instance, Nicki Minaj and Cardi B, right? The talent is definitely different, right? But the image is very similar. And so the industry on the larger scale doesn't really necessarily market the music, right? Because if we listen to it we're conscious, we know that most of it's not that good. The artists like you who are conscious, knowing that music affects how you maneuver and how you feel on a daily basis, you don't see that at that higher level anymore. It's a lot of noise.
You know, it goes with what you were asking earlier about the beauty of internet or not. So I remember in early 2000, 2 minutes, I'll be real quick, when the industry started falling. Music industry people were saying, if there's no DVD, it's not going to sell, right? So basically, you're talking with people that are supposed to be in the music industry that are telling you that music ain't shit. We're here to sell everything else. Okay? So it is exactly what happened and what is happening. Music has no value to them. Look at all those platforms. Spotify, blah, 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 whatever they want.
Yeah.
How come they pay music so little when their model is based on music? Me, I'm just saying. So we are getting fucked.
Yes.
We're obliged to accept it because that's the way of now. They will not make me say and believe that they love music. No, you are rug seller, you are whatever else seller that you are, but you don't respect music and you surely don't love music. If they were loving music, they would make 50-50 deal or something like that.
Yeah.
You know?
And I think fear sells, and like a lot of what Nicki Minaj and Cardi B, I feel like they're just holograms of fear, and of this like role, and of this of what it's just not true. What their lyrics are not true.
But it's also the promotion of ways of success
Yeah.
that exist. That exists. It's just that if as a mainstream channel or media, that's all that you portray, then you are showing to zillions of girls that the only way they can go somewhere
is if you twerk.
Is if you go to the sex market first.
Yeah.
You know, which
It's like you have to literally sell yourself to get somewhere.
I understand it. It's just, is it all that we have to offer as a civilization? I think it's a little sad.
It's sad. It is
Yeah.
so sad.
It's just a little, it's very diminutive. And for boys, what? Just, to be like dealers and talk about drugs all the time. That's all there is.
And sex too.
And sex too.
Both sides.
I get it. It's part of the life. But when that becomes mainstream, I do have an issue with it. It cannot be mainstream.
Yeah, and I thought it was very interesting because recently, I don't know if you've seen the report about 21 Savage, but ICE, decided to reveal that he wasn't even from the US originally, he's from the UK, right? But here's an artist who was black, right? And he's rapping about, I think he's lived here long enough to have some experience in America, and understand the good from America. But at the end of the day, my sister's a journalist and she called me and told me about it. And we were laughing because, oftentimes, even within our own communities, we see it on the big screen and we take it for face value, right? And so there's a lot of things behind the scenes that we don't understand that is influencing us, and I question even more now, particularly when those types of revelations come out, right? The reveal.
Yeah.
And so I think the music very interesting space right now because I see a lot more artists taking ownership of more of their own craft. Like Maya, who's been putting out new music.
Yep.
You, Prince mentored a lot of artists.
I mean, Prince was a trailblazer. He opened the way for all of us. Like, and he not much for it, but yeah. I remember being at the Soul Train Award and him coming with Chuck D, talking to the whole art, like to the professional, saying independent is the way, get out of the plantation, etc. And I was like, wow. And other artists were laughing. And at the end of it, I just don't want to go there because in a way, you know what, he died, etc. And now he's on Spotify and all that thing. So I'm just saying, I don't know what happened. What happened with the contract? It's very sad.
It is very
because
sad.
that's the fight of his life.
Yes.
Like all those last years, he fought for that. He fought for freedom, for music to be paid for its value, for music to still be a value, to still be an asset, for the artist and the people. And at the end of it, he dies in the elevator, like the song, and end up on all those platforms that he was against. Where I do have very big issues on that.
I do too.
It's weird.
I think it's been weird from the beginning. I think also, but even knowing what happened with Prince, right? Like he didn't always go as Prince because a company owned his name.
Yeah.
So he had to walk around with the symbol, right? And I didn't know at the time as a kid that was the reason why he had to walk around with the symbol. Just because they owned his name, and in order for him to use his name, he had to finish a contractual agreement that he wasn't comfortable with, right?
We had to go the same.
Yeah, and so
we had to
fight. These artists and creativity held hostage and confined because of some of these contracts that these artists and organizations have. And they work for some people, right? Some people make a living off of it. But I think that, it's what I see now is a lot of artists starting to say, you know what, I'm gonna just start my own,
Voilà.
subsidiary.
And that's the beauty of our time anyway. So, internet has some good side because it gives access. And for independent, and it gives access in a product that has lost completely its value. Music as of now, it's not a value. All those platforms pay us 0.06, meaning 601 cents by play.
Basically, I have almost like a million plays that actually really start getting paid from it.
It's more than a ripoff. Well, Pharrell was saying the year when he released Happy, he got $6,000 from the platform. Thank you. So good luck trying making money nowadays in that system thing. So then it's a lot of sponsoring. It's if other brands want to join and give you money, literally, to promote their product, etc. So it's more like, it's not the music that is important. It's the brand. Voilà. And performing. So now it is back to performing, which is not a bad thing, in a way. But we are also in a time where the venues are macked. So you have a weird, it's David and Goliath, where there's a big block in front of us that owns touring, ticketing, venues, newspaper, radios, label. So they have the whole thing. So, if you're not in the family, you don't enter in the playlist, you cannot play. Sister was talking about House of Blues. You cannot really play those venues because now they belong to the so they kind of locked, you know, and you're like, okay. So like even for certain type of venues to still exist out of those systems is a resistance. And there are a network of those venues throughout this country that are still not mapped with that giant that, you know, and that giant that accepts to sell us short, because that giant is such a giant that if they would go to the platform and say, hey, you need to pay music better, unless we remove this, and you don't have content anymore. Why they don't do it? I'm still wondering.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's why, you know, in a way, when Tidal came into place, I was like, ain't that some horrible bullshit?
They did, but you know, they got in trouble for falsifying, right?
Yeah,
that
because
no one was using it.
it was a bad idea in the beginning. It was just trying to make, it's some pimp move, trying to make money, cream the money up the, there's no money, let me cream the money up that thing. It's ugly. Where all the artists that they were, if they would have stand the way they're pretending they were doing, you know, that declaration of I don't know what. If they were standing like Taylor Swift did, you know what I mean? Hey, love blonde girl, yes, go get it, girl. You know, you know, it's important. Like whoever, whatever you are, just be smart. Don't drink the Kool-Aid. Don't do the if those people were doing, have walked with her on the same thing. We're removing our music from your platform on the same thing that Prince was doing.
Yes. Yes.
Do you really think that Pandora, iTunes, and all of them will be still paying music so little? Of course not, because they need the content. So what? So united we stand or not? So it was a division. And some coward, we like money thing, like, oh, let me try to get money. And no, that is not the real revolution. The revolution won't be televised, they said. And it's true. And it's true up to now. You know? Like, because we have to really see what are the good, like, and there are very good, like, and I'm saying that I'm not against Spotify or Pandora and all those platform systems. The idea is great, the access is awesome, etc. But can they just consider the work and the artist? Because this is our life.
Exactly.
And now they're just telling us literally, yeah, you're making an album, and they say, why don't you give it for free on internet? No, because that's my work. Because I paid some musician to come. You know, I paid some studio to be there. I paid some mixers. That, you know, like, we value our thing, and we want to be alive. That's the thing too. We want to be alive and be continuing on doing that work, and not to be artists and Uber drivers and you know what I mean? Like the teachers are as of now. So, consideration. And it's just that also when artists speak about it with the audience feel like, oh, it's a long complaint. They're just bitching. Look at the life they're having. No, it's a whole togetherness thing. If we don't do it all together, then yes, some are going to be exploited, and we're going to be exploited. Us at the end of it, and at the end of it, it does strengthen the creation. It will never kill it. It will never ever kill it. Never. Because, and that's why I believe in music and love music, because music is stronger than that. It never stops throughout time, from the beginning to the end, and after and beyond. You know? So, voilà.